Good morning. This is the Media Center Ukraine, Odessa. We are starting our working day. And our first guest today is the Lieutenant Colonel of the National Guard of Ukraine, Serhii Sudets, founder of the Air Alert community. At first, the community was established in Viber, and now you can find the channel in Telegram. And I'm sure that the residents of Odessa Oblast are well aware of this channel because this channel provides the information about attacks on the Odessa Oblast, both drones and missiles. Good afternoon, everyone. So the question about the community. So please tell us about the idea first and why is this community so popular now? When it comes about February and March, there were almost no alerts in Odessa. That's why I decided that I can inform people I know about alerts. And I'm a trainer, I train children, and I have friends. This is the football fans club. And in Viber, I had a small community with around 150 members. And when I got air alerts, there were no sirens, no sound signal about air alert in Odessa, and I posted this information in the community in Viber for people to save their lives, the lives of their children and families. So we were having new members, and the community in Viber reached 37,000. But then our hackers, Anonymous, offered me to have the Telegram channel for it to be protected against hacking attacks, because this was the period when such attacks started. On the 1st of October, we started our Telegram channel, and now we have around 105,000 members in that community. There is no promotion. This is our main principle. We just provide information to our population. But you continue operating because at least in Odessa, the air alert system started operating in 1.5 months after the war started. But despite this, you still post voice messages for the people to know when they should run to the shelter. Everyone should try to hide in the shelter because everyone should take measures to save their lives, and they should find the safe place according to all rules of air alert. But we can actually provide the information about the direction the missile or a drone hitting for people to be more aware of the place of the possible strike, and people can understand what area is under the most threat. For example, Serhiivka village or Zatoka village, and people have 2 or 5 minutes to respond and to find a safer place. As far as I understand, you get these alerts as a military person. But is there any feedback about this from the air defense forces of the southern region? What is their attitude to such Telegram channel? Because more than 100,000 people is quite a great membership, despite the fact that this channel provides only one content. This is the alert system. You now have some announcement about raising funds to support soldiers, but in generally, this is the air alert community. Yes, we have among our members, we have a lot of military there, and also the representatives of the emergency service of Ukraine, as well as the members of their families. Families of the soldiers have also subscribed to the channel, and when I communicate with the military, they are always thankful to me for the channel. And this is the question of our general safety, the safety of our families. There is no secret or sensitive information in this community. Are there any questions from the floor? Yes, Dmitro, the First City channel of Ukraine. My name is Dmitro. I know that we have now the app, the application, the e-app or the e-air defense forces that was developed by Odessa developers. Have you ever thought about the possibility of cooperating with that channel? Thank you, Dmitro, for the questions. And this channel, EPPO, E-Air Defense Forces, is our general content. And it was developed in Odessa. We cooperate with the team of the developers, and we were the first to publish the information about this app, to promote it and to help people. Because now the Ukrainian citizens can be involved in air defense of both the city and the country in general. The Ministry of Digital Transformation has also supported this app, and it has required a lot of efforts to develop such product, such application, and this is unique in the world. And our people are really great. Our developers are great, and you understand how many efforts it has taken to develop such app. A lot of channels, a lot of communities have united to develop such app. And the information is provided first to the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and the ministry then further transfer this information to the air defense unit, to anti-aircraft missile system, which is closer to the target. And actually, we have already good results. There are some targets that have been already downed using this app. That's why we would like ask to our citizens to be more active with this app. It is more streamlined for Android operative system, but we're still finalizing the Apple version. Now we're testing it, and such product is unique for the world so far. The next question, please. Oleksiy Asaulenko, Media Center, Ukraine. I have the following question. Do you have support of the military management, of the military command? Perhaps you need some other support. Of course, they support us because we cooperate with them. As for the help that can be provided, the hackers support our channel and we inform the population. We were not forbidden, actually, to have such community, and we are thankful for this. This is not the Soviet Union anymore. Because I think that the military would have banned such channel if we had been still in the Soviet Union. And that's great that we have now an opportunity to work with the population and for the population. And we have our soldiers, we have volunteers, and we have citizens of Ukraine that are all involved to ensure the safety of the whole population. I am representing Union. And I have the following question. How much time do people have after you publish the alert to get to the bomb shelter, depending on the type of the armament? Because, for example, we have other Telegram channels that sometimes inform about shaheeds hitting or something else. Thank you for the question. First of all, about the amount of time people have. Of course, it depends on the type of armament and the area from where it has been launched. If it's the Caspian Sea, then people have around 40 minutes. And we inform usually in 30 minutes before the possible strike. If it's the Black Sea region, if it's from the Crimean Peninsula, if it's the aircraft or the fleet of our enemy. Then we talk about caliber missiles, and people have around 10 minutes. if it's missiles of the type HA, then it takes a bit longer for them to hit something. So if it's Crimea or Crimean Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation, people have around 10 minutes. Sometimes, this is from Kherson Oblast, they launch Iskanders, and it's more difficult there. People don't have enough time. The military doesn't have enough time, and it's even less time for the population. Thanks God, in our units, in our region, we have the best air defense units in Ukraine, if not in the world. And I would like to praise our air defense units in our region, because you can see that every day there are missile strikes all over Ukraine and people die. But thanks God, it is not, the situation is not that severe in our region, because we call our air defense units gods, and I would like to thank them. I have a question to you. This is the question about your work and the work of the air defense forces. Do Iranian combat drones have worsened the situation for you, for your community, and for the air defense units? Because basing on the information in your Telegram channel, the drones can change the direction. With Shaheeds or other types of Iranian drones, any start of the enemy's missile or drone cannot be changed, because there is a clear direction, the clear route of this missile from one point to another point. We can only observe their route and inform. Our enemy cannot change the direction of these drones, and we can't do this as well. And you saw by yourself, as soon as they started using drones, it was very difficult for us. We were getting used to the new armament, to new weapons, and we're looking for the ways how to down them. And during the first 2-3 days, the situation was really difficult, and you saw that there were hits in the city, and they also hit the infrastructural objects. But thanks to our air defense experts who have developed the whole system, we can now manage the situation. There are two systems actually. One is the anti-aircraft missile system, and another is the anti-drone system. There are different types of drones. There are combat drones and there are surveillance drones. And our first target in terms of the priority is combat drones, and then we work with the surveillance drones. So the situation is really difficult, and you know that they are planning to have more drones, but I think that we will be ready to shut them down. And you saw that we had the maximum amount of drones, around 30 drones for 2 hours, and 29 drones were downed in that case. Those people who were closer to Yuzhny, they could soar the flashes in the sky for around an hour and a half. But it took a lot of efforts to down them. But we were successful, and you see that there are no new attempts in this region. And this is very expensive for them to launch 30 drones, and 29 of them are downed. Do you have any other questions? If no, I have some. The active phase of our war with Russia started in 2014, and during all these years, the representatives of air defense forces were kind of in shadow, because there was not so many work for them, because and actually journalists and the population did not know much about air defense forces, but starting from the February, these units are perhaps one of the most important, especially for the civil population, because they protect the rear, our population. So this means that the air defense units have been training starting from the 2014, or have they started training and developing only starting from the February? So what is the evolution of our air defense forces? Let's trace it together. When it comes to the first days, the 24th, the 25th of February, we had the enemy's aircraft here. We had some air defense systems, but they were not enough. So, and actually, the enemy thought that they could use aircraft everywhere and no one would down them. But you saw the situation was different, that their aircraft were falling quite actively in March, and around 15, 16 March there was the briefing in Kiev with the Russian POVs that were the pilots of their airplanes. And you remember that case, even one of the pilots had his mother living in Cherkasy in Ukraine, and it did not prevent him from bombarding Mykolaiv region, and he took off from Belbek, from Crimea, to bomb Ukraine, despite the fact that his mother lived in Cherkasy in Ukraine. Then we could use the systems that we had in Ukraine just to repel the very difficult and powerful wave of Russians' aircraft. And we managed to improve the situation in the air, so they couldn't come so easily to our territory anymore. Then the droned Moscow military ship, that was a very important fact, because actually they covered Ismail and Mykolaiv, and our airplanes could not work. And actually, when the combat ship Moscow was drowned, we understood that actually we could take the upper hand in the situation, and that really happened. Now our airplanes are managed to have patrols along the coastline of the Black Sea, and no one now even dares to come to our territories in terms of their airplanes. Then we started training our air defense forces. We started getting the new anti-aircraft systems, and we have managed to close the sky at least. And we have anti-aircraft system, but they work just against the airplanes, but we don't have missile defense systems. Only now we're starting getting irises and NASAMS, and we understand the high level of professionalism of our units, who actually use the systems to down the missiles that are not intended to down such targets, because they are intended for airplanes first. So this is how our air defense forces have been evolving, and we did everything possible to protect our population, to protect our infrastructure and Ukraine in general. If there are no other questions, I would like to add a few words to what you have mentioned. Just a week before the big war, I was preparing the interview with the former representative of Air Defense Forces, General Romanenko, and he openly told me that it would be a very difficult task, and it would be challenging for Ukraine to down the cruise missiles, because we did not have the systems to down cruise or ballistic missiles, but in several months we saw that it was possible to down cruise missiles. If it's not a military secret, could you tell us, please, how it has become possible? Do you have any algorithms or schemes for this? Of course, I won't share this information, but you understand that that was developed in Ukraine because our partners cannot understand how we managed to down such missiles with the systems that are intended for airplanes. And this is kind of a fantasy for them. It's something fantastic. And our soldiers say that they managed to install the different software on the armament that they receive from our international partners. And our artillery units use Caesar and other applications to improve this armament. And there are some discrepancies, but they just can't understand how it could be anymore. And thus, they increase efficiency of the armament we get. And I think now that our soldiers are now #1 professionals in the whole world, not only in Europe, because what we do now in the combat zone is impossible for any other country. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? And I would like to continue actually because I have so many questions to you. As far as I understand, that Ukraine is now waiting for missile defense systems. Patriots from Ukraine and their Korean systems, if I'm not mistaken. Can you explain us their importance for us, for example, when it comes to Iskanders or when it comes to calibers? And what is the possibility for us to be able to get such systems? Because it is obvious that we need them. If you're, just for your understanding, Patriot is a bit old to armament. Now we have Irises, NASAMS. This is more modern type of armament. This is something that you could saw in some fantasy films. So we have got the systems we did not expect to get in July or in June. So there are two systems of anti-aircraft system, even three of them. This is the anti-aircraft, anti-missile, and anti-drone systems. Now we have all three systems. But of course, the quantity is not enough to close the whole sky over Ukraine. But the most important targets, the most populated cities are covered, so to say. But we are waiting for them to invent something new because this is like a chess play. They try to trick us, and we are ready to defend ourselves. We have the question from the floor. And you will need the headsets for the translation.
Tell to audience overseas how. Okay, testing. I want to address a question from media overseas. I'd like to ask. Yeah. I would like to ask, how do you feel? I mean, personally, you had to create a system on Telegram to give information regard danger from missiles and rockets. Can you tell overseas audience how do you feel having to create such kind of instrument to help people, but it's not normal for countries that are not at war? How do you feel personally creating this channel?
Thank you. First of all, I think that no one has ever created such channels or communities before, even the countries that faced hostilities. But this is our Ukrainian, perhaps, tradition. People have never expected that we could do such things in Ukraine. And the community that we have in the Telegram channel is kind of our family, and this family is protected. People do understand that they can hear us, that the military will provide alert to warn about the danger, and people will be able to respond accordingly. And this is very important for the population. So there is a kind of misinformation for people to deceive us. Because on our territories we have the enemy's Telegram channels, and unfortunately we still have some in Ukraine. And sometimes they inform about 200 missiles that were launched from the Caspian Basin. And people are afraid, young mothers with children are afraid, or some elderly people do not know what to do when they read such information. Sometimes such enemy's channel inform around 150 Shaheds, and if people is not trained to properly respond to such misinformation, it is very difficult from them from the psychological point of view. That's why our channel is a very simple tool providing the information about the danger at a certain period of time. And we speak about the direction, and people know how to respond. And then we inform that there is no alert anymore. This is like a traffic rules. So green light, you're allowed to go. Red light, you have to stop. Everything is in this channel, because actually if there was some breakdown with the traffic lights, then of course it could lead to the mess. And that's why our tool in the Telegram is very simple, just to calm down the population. And this is very simple. And it's really very simple, and we managed to do this. You will need the headsets one more. Назвіться, будь ласка.
Okay, I would like to ask you, talking about disinformation you just mentioned, did you experience any type of undermining of the working of the channel? Are there any tries, or did you see where you were witness of any tries to stop working or disinform or entering other information into the channel that is not a proper one? Were there such attempts?
Thank you for your question. Yes, when there was a mass attack, it was on Monday, if you remember, there was the mass attack all over the territory of Ukraine. I don't remember the exact date, but that was the first mass attack when there were a lot of hits on Kyiv and other cities of Ukraine. And at that day, there was a hacker attack on our channel. Around 20,000 unknown accounts tried to attack our channels, but our experts coped with this. They're the best, and I would like to thank them for this. Of course, they could hack us, but we could repel the attack. Thanks to our hackers. And actually, our developers have managed to create the EPPO, the e-air defense system application, and they managed to protect our channel as well. And I think that the Ukrainian hackers are also #1 in the world. And we can only express respect to these people, and people can continue using our channel because the attack was repelled. And I would like to thank our expert specialist once more. As far as I understand, you mean the missile attack that was the next day or the day after the explosion on the Crimean bridge? Yes, yes, that's what that attack. The detonation on the Crimean bridge was on Saturday, and starting from Monday, there was a massive missile attack all over Ukraine. There were the strikes at the civilian objects, and there were a lot of hits in Kiev. Yes, that was a terrorist attack all over Ukraine. Their target was the energy system of Ukraine. And for 2 days, there was the attack also on our channel. Around 20,000 different accounts tried to attack us from the Russian side. Thank you. If there are no other questions, I would like to thank you once more time for being here today. Thank you for answering our questions. And I would also like to thank you. And we hope that the community will develop and people will be safe and will be protected against the missile and Serhii attacks. And I would like to ask our audience to stay with us. We will have the next briefing at 1 o'clock. We will have the POV here that was released from the captivity around a month ago. He will be here to answer your questions. Then we will have the next briefing, Halina Lugova, head of the Kherson City Military Administration. And then we'll have here Olena Korobkova, head of the board of the Independent Association of Banks of Ukraine. That will be at 3 p.m. So stay with us. Thank you. Thank you too. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes.